House of the Dragon. Top 11 strongest dragons, since there's only been really 11 mentioned or seen in the show. Back here with the beam. You guys have asked for it, so we're bringing it to you. Tyler, I know you're excited about this list. You probably have no clue where I'm going to take it, but we're going to have some hot takes. Get it? Fire Dragons hot take. Yeah. And it's going to be amazing.
It's going to get spicy in here.
Yeah. If you guys have watched season 1 of House of the Dragon, go and check it out. Check out our other AJAXCAST as well. They've been absolute bangers. We got more stuff coming up. House of the Dragon and other things related. We got some surprises coming, so stay tuned. But to kick things off, Tyler, this one should be a surprise. Number 11. Mr. Chomped in half right here. We got old Serax. Number 11, pretty obvious as to why. Spoiler warning right here, so go ahead and click off if you haven't seen the last episode of House of the Dragon or House of the Dragon you're wanting to wait and watch it. This motherfucker gets bit into pieces just like that, dude. He was gone quicker than Tony Stark hit the snap and Thanos was obliterated. He was out of there with him, Lucerys, so number 11. He also was very small.
Weakest.
Yeah. He was
youngest.
The weakest. Yeah.
But pretty nimble.
Yeah.
And he put up a fight, I'll give him that. But, not quite the same level as all the other dragons.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little snack compared to everything else.
Yes. And then the next dragon we have for number 10, I think number 11, that's pretty straightforward. So we haven't seen this dragon, but he's been mentioned multiple times. His rider is Joffrey, the third son of Rhaenyra, and it is Cyrax's. So we don't know a whole lot about him yet, so I just put a dragon egg in here. I think that's kind of why we got to keep him at 10. We don't know a whole lot about him, but we know he's going to be young, because Joffrey is also very young. Can you pull your mic down so you're not breathing into it as much? Oh god. Yeah.
So getting used to the new mic.
Yeah. Is there?
I kind of just think it's funny that a dragon egg is ranked higher than Araxes.
Because he's still alive. He's still alive.
That's true. Yeah.
That's the only reason why.
Bar's pretty low there.
Yeah, bar's pretty low. All right. Moving to number 9. We have not seen this dragon, but he has been confirmed. Aegon is his rider. And his name is Sunfire. Supposedly he's the prettiest dragon in the Seven Kingdoms, or possibly to ever exist. Here's just an artist's rendition of him, of what we think he's going to be like. He's going to be a nice golden dragon. Not sure what his size is going to be like, but I have him at number 9 because Aegon is nothing but a drunk and not a good person. So I don't think he has very much bonding with this dragon, which I think is going to make it very difficult to ride. And with Aegon not being a very warrior type or much into training, I don't know how much he is even going to ride his dragon. Therefore, I don't know how much this dragon will be used other than for like political feats. So that's why I have him at number 9.
So you think he's going to be used more as like a political tool?
Yes.
Or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I like him at 9 just because... I mean, obviously we haven't met him yet, but just the description and the name sounds pretty interesting. And I mean, that artist rendition of him looks pretty badass too.
Yeah.
But I imagine too, like if it's Aegon's dragon, I guess this dragon would be older than, well, I was going to say older than Aemon's dragon, but that's not the case, obviously, since they have Vegar. But I guess any of the other siblings' dragons. So it's probably going to be fairly sizable compared to like Luke and, well, Jace, rest in peace, his dragon.
He'll be a little more grown. So I think that's it for number 9. Number 8, we got the sibling of Sunfire. We've got Dreamfire. We may have seen a slight clip of Dreamfire when Aemond was a kid and went down into the dragon pit. It's not confirmed which dragon that was yet. But Dreamfire is going to be taken over by Helaena. And has laid eggs multiple times. We still haven't seen much of her. Daemon even stole one of the eggs, which was going to be the heir for a day's egg. We don't know much about the dragon so far, but we do know that Helaena is a psychic, which I think is going to kind of pay off, because I'm wondering if she can kind of bond with the dragon in that sense and even kind of know what the dragon's thinking, and the dragon can kind of feel what she's thinking, or even just her being able to slightly predict the future while she's riding on the dragon may be something that is a slight power move.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the vibe that Helaena is kind of like Westeros' version of a horse girl.
Yep.
That's probably what she's gonna be like for these dragons.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'll probably do pretty well for herself. Yeah, I'm really interested. I mean, obviously we don't know a ton about some of
Mhm.
these earlier dragons just because they haven't popped up in the show yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, just based off looks alone and names and all that, I agree. I think Dreamfire is gonna be pretty cool. I'm really interested to see them.
It's gonna be
Uh,
really pretty. She's gonna be a really pretty dragon.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to meeting her.
Yep. Number 7, we haven't seen him since he was an infant dragon, but we have Vermax. This is Jace's dragon. He has grown a ton apparently, and I think how they're gonna kind of make it, Serax's kind of resembles Daemon a decent amount. I think Vermax is gonna resemble Jace a lot. Kind of witty, willing to get stuff done, but he's not gonna be the biggest or the strongest. But I think he is going to be a well capable fighter. And also, we've seen that Jace has trained a ton, especially under Daemon. I think he's even going to get dragon training from Daemon as well, if he has not already, which is going to be a huge benefit moving forward, even though
Yeah.
young rider, young dragon.
Well, I think too, what'll be interesting is like these dragons in a lot of ways are kind of the embodiment of the personality of their
Mm-hmm.
riders. And I mean, we already saw this a bit with was it Jace or Luke? Oh God, I always mix up the brothers. Which one is this? Luke or
This is
Jace?
Jace. This is Jace, the older
Jace's
one.
drag. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But like Jace to me has already come off as like fairly noble, more regal or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, more trying to be like the idealistic view of what a king should be.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if this dragon will be like that, more controlled, more tame, more
Mm-hmm.
obedient in a lot of ways.
So, funny enough, Jace resembles Harwin Strong a lot. A lot of the qualities he possesses, and I think we'll hopefully they kind of dive into that. Hopefully they will try to show how much he is similar to his baby daddy.
How dare you try to insinuate that that's his dad?
All right, we're about to start getting into some hot takes. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah. Also, Jace gonna be riding with a vengeance, so that could kind of pay off as
True.
well.
He's
But it
gonna
could
have some
also
rage, some
it,
anger to him.
it also could not help, as we see in Star Wars. But moving on to number 6, Cyrax, Rhaenyra's dragon. I know. This is supposed to be a special dragon, and Rhaenyra's our special person. But the the things that I have coming up for these other dragons, I couldn't put Cyrax above any of these other dragons. So I feel like number 6, middle of the list, is fine. Hasn't seen any combat. They've flown a lot together. Like Rhaenyra has a lot of experience riding on Cyrax, but there's no combat experience, which is what I think comes in to hurt a ton. So yeah, Cyrax has gone in and done 2 standoffs on a bridge, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm dominant. But Cyrax is still undersized compared to almost all of these dragons that are listed above.
Yeah, I think the tough part too is like just given Rhaenyra's position
Mm-hmm.
as queen, she can't really put herself into battles as much without
Yep.
risking just destroying her entire rebellion in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I am curious to see how they use was Cyrax.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean honestly, I think 6 is fine just because again, we just haven't seen much of it.
And Cyrax
So
is just small, dude. All the dragons
yeah,
have grown. Like Cyrax has grown too, but not a lot. Cyrax is not very big.
true. I mean, it just hasn't had to be used really much other than as basically their version of a plane.
Mm-hmm.
They're just using it for transit really at this point. But I mean, I imagine that's probably going to change as the show goes on. And I feel
Yeah.
like we'll update this list as seasons
Oh
come
yeah,
out.
yeah. This is the way
We'll
too
probably
early.
do like at least a list once each season because
Yeah.
this is definitely going to change.
All right. And these two people had flip flopped from what I've seen, but I'm keeping Sea Smoke at 5. So Laenor's former dragon does not currently have a rider. I believe Bela is going to take it over, one of Daemon's daughters. She's going to be riding Sea Smoke. The reason why I have Sea Smoke at 5 above Cyrax is because Sea Smoke has seen combat. Do you see this picture? He fucked up a lot of those crab people. He has flown with other dragons as Seraxes into battle and came out on top. He obeyed Laenor very well, and like because they had to use that element of surprise. Like Sea Smoke could have easily disobeyed orders, like we happen to see some dragons do, and fucked up the whole thing and gotten Daemon killed, or even just melted Daemon right on the fucking scene. So the fact that Sea Smoke has this kind of control, or that the writer can have this kind of control over Sea Smoke, gives Sea Smoke a huge leg up on a lot of the other dragons.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see too how Sea Smoke, what role it plays in this civil
Hmm.
war, depending on who the dragon rider is. I think obviously Lena's the expected person to end up riding this dragon, but I'll be curious to see if that's what it actually ends up happening. But it does seem like this list is mainly top 11 in terms of combat ability
Yeah.
right out. I would definitely agree that I think Sea Smoke probably beats everyone else on this
Yep.
list so far.
Oh yeah. Sweet. So number 4, we got Melee's Rhaenys's dragon. I pulled up a side by side. I should have put it in here of because Melee is much older.
Mm.
Obviously, it's been developed for a long time since Rhaenys is in her later years. Um, Obviously, she's still in her prime. Which shout out to her actress. She is nominated for what is it? Supporting role of the
Yeah, best
year.
supporting role,
Yeah, best
best
supporting
supporting
role.
actress.
Yeah, or yeah, supporting actor, or actress, whichever one it is. But this dragon actually resembles Drogon a ton. How it's got like the little spikes that come off of it, but it's much older than Drogon. Khaleesi's dragon, but
It's bigger
Drogon is
too. Yeah.
way no. Well, no, Drogon's bigger.
Oh,
Like
really?
much longer. Even for how much of an infant Drogon was, but probably one of the most fearsome dragons that you'll see. Like not much combat experience unless it was stuff earlier before the show that they haven't really confirmed
A lot of
or dove
intimidation
into yet.
experience.
But yeah, definitely stomped on a bunch of people in King's Landing, so that was kind of fucking cool. A lot of control. Like Rhaenys was very easily able to control that melees, and then they escaped. Like the maneuverability on melees, I think is going to pay off a ton, as you saw when he folded up his wings and like went through the gate to get out and then flew off. He looks very fast compared to some of the other ones, but couldn't put him above higher than 4. I almost swapped him and Sea Smoke, but just because Melees is older, probably has more experience, and is going to have a more experienced rider. That's
That's
why
the
I
main
have
thing.
Melees at
Yeah.
4.
That's the main reason why I like Melee's more than Sea Smoke is like the experienced dragon rider is key here because I mean if we learned anything from the first season is that these dragons are not easy to control at all.
Mm-hmm.
So having an experienced dragon rider like Rhaenys is going to be vital to ensure that your dragons can be an effective weapon going into
Yep.
this war. So yeah, I think it's no question over Sea Smoke, and I think it's going to be a very pivotal weapon in this incoming civil war here.
Yep, 100%. And now this next one was tough, man. The 2 and 3 are really hard, but I went with my favorite dragon at 3,
Wow.
Serax's.
Yeah.
I put him in at 3. What we saw throughout the season, like throughout the year, Serax's has grown a ton. I think Serax's is the coolest fucking dragon for many reasons, but what's gonna make Serax's so powerful is because if you watch scenes with him and Daemon, if Daemon moves his head to the left, Serax's moves his head to the left. However, Daemon moves, Serax's moves, which is why I believe they may even dive into a little more that Daemon is the dragon. Therefore, he may actually be the one that's more suited to sit the Iron Throne, but we'll have to see.
Ooh, all right.
Um, but I just think Daemon and Seraxes have the best rider dragon bond. I don't think that dragon would ever disobey Daemon at all. I think there's a ton of different things, or a ton of different reasons as to why this could really pay off for the Blacks. So,
Yeah, I guess the only knock really against Seraxis is size. Like it is a fairly nimble dragon. Daemon
mm-hmm.
is completely in tune with the dragon, but obviously it's not as large as dragons like say Vegar or whatever.
Well, no one is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. It's the
Yep.
reason why you can't put Seraxis as number one because pure combat ability. I'm sure skill wise and like nimbleness and quality of Dragon Rider,
Mm-hmm.
Seraxis wins, but just in terms of like pure physical skill set or really just attributes and size,
Yeah.
he's probably 3.
Yeah. When it comes to obedience and skills, I'd probably put Cyrax's at 1, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, just the intangibles, he's probably the best at. It's just
Yeah.
physically speaking,
Yeah.
he's not quite there yet.
He won't ever be that big since he's there's three different kinds of dragons, I think is what it was, and he's a bloodworm, or he's mixed
Yeah.
with bloodworm or something like that, which is why he looks all slender and lean like that. It looks so cool. The
Mm.
sounds he makes are so badass. I rewatched some of those scenes the other night, and I was like, oh, he sounds so cool like that. Like it's fucking sick.
Mhm.
All
Very
right,
intimidating dragon.
are you ready for the hottest take, Tyler?
Okay, yeah, I'm ready. Who's number 2?
Serax is again. No, I'm just kidding. This is the second one. This is when Daemon was using him as an intimidation factor. And you can already tell by some of his horns and stuff popping off, he's gotten bigger. I went and looked at the 2 big scenes we saw with him.
Mhm.
But number 2, the Carnivore Dragon, Vermithor. This dragon has a ton of experience, especially when it comes to committing war crimes. Committed many war crimes in Dorne. Jaehaerys' dragon, and that thing was ferocious and still is. Obviously, we saw that thing, like the whole scene with Daemon singing to him and how just fucking horrifying that dragon looked in the cave. It's he's gonna be pretty exciting to watch.
And just absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
Like Vagar is terrifying, but this is like the Blacks' response to that, basically. I'm
So
curious to see who's going to end up being the Dragon Rider for this dragon too.
So
That's going to be a tall
I
task.
think if this had been any other character in the Seven Kingdoms, they would have got fucking killed right there. But since Daemon is the dragon, calling it right now, Daemon is the dragon. He may have been one of the Targaryens that was developed in the womb as a dragon, then when he came out was a human. That's a theory. Daemon is the
Did not
dragon.
take
That's
out.
why
Yeah.
this dragon obeyed him and just kind of like sat there, like got this fucking close to him, looked Daemon right in the eye, and Daemon did not cower, did not back down. This dragon's like, all right, it's time to go commit war crimes again. Are we going to Dorne this time? But
Who do you think is going to be the Dragon Rider for this, though, while we're on this?
so I think Daemon's gonna ride Vermithor, and then since he's so well connected with Serax's, he's not going to need a rider, just like we saw with Khaleesi. How like she would ride Drogon and Rhaegal and is it Vegal?
No, it was like Viserys or something like that.
Messina, maybe? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Anyway.
Something with
Anyway, how those 2 dragons obeyed her while she was riding on Drogon. I think it's going to be a very similar thing, which is going to be the only way I think that the Blacks can defeat our number 1 dragon, Vegar. Now, Vegar is a big motherfucker. This was from, like, around the season midway point, and then obviously when we saw at the end, the last episode, we saw that Vegar has grown. You know,
Vagar is just a terrifying dragon too.
Yeah.
Just like look at that dragon. Like that's not a pretty dragon
Yeah.
at all. It's horrifying. Like honestly, if I were to create like an undead dragon in like a fantasy story or whatever, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
she's
constantly
old.
got patches in its wings. It's old. It's massive. It's pretty gross looking at times,
She
but
doesn't
absolutely
listen.
terrifying.
Doesn't listen is the biggest by far. We don't have the confirmed size of Vermithor yet, but she's bigger than Vermithor. So I mean, the only thing that kind of plays against the Greens is that Vegar does not want to listen because obviously I don't know if Vegar can hear because she's so old, but she's also very stubborn and is going to do whatever she wants. I mean, her and Aemon don't really have that kind of a bond. So
yeah, I mean, like it's tough because I mean, imagine if you were like, what? How old is Vagar? Like over like a century old,
probably,
maybe at
yeah,
this point.
yeah.
Yeah, that you have like a 20-something-year-old on your back trying to tell you what you
19-year-old.
Yeah, 19-year-old. That's right, not even 20 yet. I probably wouldn't listen either.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
So,
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think at this point, I'm really excited to see a battle between number 1 and number 2 here. I think that's
see, if it's solo, Vegar I think slaps, but if it's 1 versus 2 and 3, that's where you can see some damage to Vegar. And also, I think what could potentially happen is you'll see where Vegar gets injured and then retreats, or someone has to retreat. I don't think it'll all just be ended on one battle, if that makes sense.
fair enough.
Also, we haven't seen. There was a scene that they showed in mini trailers where there was 10 dragons flying over King's Landing. We didn't see that in season 1, so I'm curious to see if that comes up in season 2 since they've already put season 2 into production. Another key factor. So obviously, if Balerion was still alive, we saw his skull, how fucking big he was. Like, apparently, Vegar is still not the size of Balerion.
But yeah, Balerion was massive.
Yeah,
Like, I'm pretty sure it was the largest dragon in Westerosi history.
I think what's going to determine a lot of different things is there are 3 wild dragons on Dragonstone. We don't know what size. We don't know how old they are, what they're capable of, what kind of condition they're in, or whatnot. But I think it's gonna help the blacks out that Daemon is fucking obsessed with dragons and toes. Just kidding, wrong person. But I'm super excited to see what happens. Especially those like if they did the whole second season about taming the dragons, getting their dragons ready to go, I think I'd be fired up for it. Like even if there was no battling still, if they milked the shit out of it, I would fucking
super deep into the dragon lore.
Dude, I would go head over heels for it. So yeah, is there anything else you want to say about my? Okay, hang on. What did you think of my list? What did y'all think of my list?
I love the list, honestly. I feel like it's fairly accurate. I don't really have any criticisms really. Like if we're doing it off pure combat ability, I feel like it's kind of difficult because we don't know everything yet.
But
I
with
could
what we
definitely
have, yeah.
Yeah, based off what we have, I like it. But I mean like the only people I can see like maybe hopping up a little bit on the list is maybe Vermithor. I could very well see Vermithor beating Vhagar. I think it could happen.
Especially if we see
Because
how big Vermithor is, because they haven't confirmed how big Vermithor
exactly. I
is.
think Vermithor might actually end up being bigger than Vhagar because Vermithor was Jaehaerys's
Yes,
dragon.
Jaehaerys.
And then Vegar was Balon's dragon,
I think
I believe.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. And Balon was Jaehaerys's son. So it sounds like Vagar is actually younger than Vermithor. So if that's the case, I could very well see Vermithor being bigger and stronger and badder than
Yeah.
Vagar. But then obviously there's also the question of if they're even bigger and stronger, how well can you control that dragon?
Yeah. Well, I think with Daemon
It's going to
riding
depend on
Vermithor,
Daemon. You have a lot of faith in Daemon. I'm not sure if I'm quite there with you on it yet,
he's
but
goaded
I
with the
like the
sauce.
takes. I
Goaded
like the
with the
spicy
sauce
takes.
character.
The soul of a dragon.
Yes, he does have the soul of a dragon, man. I am super pumped coming up for this season. I mean, we gotta wait a little bit, but it's gonna be a blast.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah. But thank you guys for all the support you guys have given us as of late. We've had a blast doing these. Don't worry, we're gonna keep House of the Dragon content and Game of Thrones content coming, even though we're not getting anything for a little bit. We have some new stuff coming as well, so stay tuned for that. Check us out on all of our social media if you haven't already. And hey, we're on Spotify. We get a few more clicks on Spotify, we'll start posting more and more on there, and we'll be maybe getting some exclusive content out there for y'all. But once again, thank you guys for support. Sorry for my mess. I'm moving. New Ajax studio is coming together. This is gonna be sick. It's gonna be ready to go. Hopefully in the next week or two. So bear with me. You're gonna see a ton of junk behind me while we get moved in here. But thank you for all the support, guys. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.